If you didn't crack top 10 in 2022 Mr. Olympia, then it is almost going to be an impossible task in 2023, and here is why. As far as we know, William Bonac is the only athlete from last year's top 10 who will not be competing this year. If he doesn't change his mind, that opens up one space in the top 10. It opens up one space because I don't see anyone who placed top 10 last year getting pushed out. The guys in the top 6 all have potential to win the Mr. Olympia title. You also have to add Andrew Jack into that mix, and there is not a chance that they will get pushed out of the top 10. Now you're left with Hunter Labrada and Rafael Brandao. Hunter Labrada is not easy to beat. He has beat Nick Walker and Andrew Jack before. On the other hand, you have Rafael Brandao, who has one of the most beautiful physiques, and it is something that judges have been rewarding lately. Now you have that William Bonac spot left in the top 10, and there are so many good athletes who can fill it, but who will it be? There is growing consensus in the bodybuilding community that Michal Krizo will crack top 10 this year. He has the size and the structure to be in that top 10, but will he have the conditioning? Because if he doesn't have the conditioning, there is someone else who has the size and the conditioning, and that is Iain Valliere. And Iain Valliere did place ahead of Michal Krizo last year. However, Michal Krizo might have the conditioning this year because he has time. Unlike last year, he was an amateur 2 months before the Olympia. He only had 6 weeks to prep after ending his Olympia qualification. So for Krizo to crack that top 10, he has to bring superb conditioning, and he also has to work on his presentation, because that's another thing that held him back last year. But Iain Valliere is not the only athlete to beat in order to crack the top 10. The return of Nathan Asha complicates everything. Nathan is a top 10 Olympia athlete, and you shouldn't count him out yet. He has the size, the structure, and the conditioning, but he has been away from the Olympia stage for about 3 years. After being away from the Olympia stage for so long, Nathan Asha has a point to prove. Speaking of athletes who have points to prove at the Olympia, we cannot leave out Regam Grimes. He skipped last year's Olympia to make improvements so that he can move up in placings. So Regam Grimes and his coach Milos have to show that skipping 2022 Mr. Olympia was not in vain. If he does poorly, he runs the risk of being irrelevant because he has been around for some time. Talking about athletes who have been around for some time who can crack the top 10 at the Olympia, we cannot leave out Akim Williams. His 2020 top 6 finish at the Olympia showed us a glimpse of how dangerous Akim can be. Even though Akim is known for his inconsistency, it is hard to count him out. We saw him this year take down William Bonac at the Arnold Classic. So Akim Williams is not an underdog. He is as dangerous as everyone else. The real underdog is blessing Awodibu, but an underdog with a chip on his shoulder is very dangerous. The return of Hassan Mostafa and Sergio Oliver Jr. makes this lineup even more deeper. If Hassan Mostafa edges out Iain Valliere at Toronto Pro, then his chance of cracking the top 10 at the Olympia goes up exponentially. The most exciting part about all this is that all these athletes still have to qualify for the 2023 Mr. Olympia. So we are going to see some of them compete against each other before we see them on that Olympia stage. Some of them will not qualify for the Mr. Olympia. So this bodybuilding season is still going to be exciting. Who do you think is not going to qualify for this year's Olympia? And more importantly, who do you think will crack the top 10 this year? Let's find out together. Be sure to subscribe to add few inches on your biceps. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below.